Hello, Algebra 1A students. I'm looking at your test review. Should have a IE review. A little misspelled there, but anyways, I'm going to write in red what I'm doing. Solve each equation. So we're solving each equation here, and I'm just going to write in red what I'm thinking. So I'm adding 5 to both sides, So when I add 5 to both sides, I get 15 equals R. Number one's easy. This one, I'm subtracting 16 from both sides, and when I subtract 16 from 32, I get 16, so n equals 16. This one I'm going to use the distributive property. I'm going to take 8 times 6, and that's going to be 48. 8 times k is just going to be 8k. That's how this becomes 8k equals 8. I subtract 40 from both sides, or 48. I subtract 48 from both sides, and so I get negative 40. So this is minus 48, minus 48. And then this is going to be divided by 8, both sides, divide by 8. I get k by itself, that's why I did it, and I get negative 5. Okay, we're starting to get in the 2 steps here, and you could pause this as needed. I'm going to move on. I'm going to add 9 to both sides because I'm trying to isolate that variable. That variable is a. I have a over 5 now over here because I got rid of that 9, and I have negative 6 plus 9 gives me a positive 3. Then I'm going to multiply by 5. These cancel out. Multiply by 5. Let's multiply. Multiply by 5. Get 15. A equals 15. This one I'm going to combine like terms. 1 minus 1 is 0, so now I'm just left with negative 2a equals negative 4. I divide both sides by negative 2. Cancels out, that's why I did it. A equals negative 4 divided by negative 2 gives me a positive 2. Number 11. Number 11, I'm combining like terms. Negative 7 and negative 5 gives me negative 12. Everything else stays the same. I add 12 to both sides. And these cancel out. That's why I did it. I'm trying to get that v by itself. I got to get that v by itself. Over here it becomes 16. I divide by 8 then because it's multiplied by 8. I got to undo divide by 8. I got to undo the multiplication. So I divide. That's why I did it. I get v by itself. What I do to one side of the equation, I do to the other. 16 divided by 8. And I have 2. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So 2v. I use the distributive property for number 13. Negative 5 times negative 7 is a positive 35, and then a negative 5 times a negative 2 is a positive 10. Now I'm ready to rock and roll with this one. I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So 200, these cancel out. 200 minus 10 is a negative 210. I'm left with 35r. I'm going to divide by 35 both sides to get r by itself. And I get negative 6. I'm dividing because I'm undoing multiplication. Remember, I'm always doing the opposite of what it says to get r by itself, but I have to do it to both sides of the equation. For number 15, I first just copy down everything. I'm going to do my first step. I'm going to use the distributive property. Negative 3 times a is negative 3a. Negative 3 times a positive 3 is a negative 9. Now I'm going to combine like terms. And what did I do here? I added 3n to both sides. So I moved it from over here. I got it to over here. 3n, I mean a. Sorry, I'm thinking of... I thought that was an N for a second. My bad writing. So 4 plus 3 is 7a. I still have my negative 9 over here. I still have my negative 2. Now I want to get rid of this negative 2. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And so when I add 2 to both sides, I get rid of it on this side. And I have negative 9 minus 2. Gives me negative 7. And this was 7a. And then negative 7 divided by 7 gives me a equals negative 1. Now, I could have gone a different way with this one. just to show you on one of these, what it would look like. I'm only going to do it on this one because if I did it on all of them, I'd be here forever. So say I was here, -2 plus 4a equals -3a minus 9. So let's say instead of adding 3, say I subtract 4a from both sides. Okay, so that gives me, so that cancels out, so I get -2 equals, and this gives me -7a minus 9. So in case you went that other route, that's fine. This is my a, by the way, I hate it when they use a because a, looks like a 9. And then I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Okay, and so I get -7a, and I get a +7. Now I'm going to divide both sides by -7, and that once again gives me -1. -1 equals a. Notice that they're the same, even though I went about it a different way. Okay, for number 17, I used the distributive property, and I took 6 times 7, gave me 42. 6 times -1 gave me the -6, and I bring down everything else. All right. Notice I combine like terms. -6 plus 2 gave me this 4, so I'm just combining those like terms there. And then everything else is the same. Now I'm going to, I think I did 2 steps in one here. So what I did was I added a 4 to both sides, got rid of it over here, so this became -34, and then I subtracted 8a from both sides, got rid of it over here, and this became 34a. So I brought my a's over here and my other number over here. Now I just take and divide both sides by 34. -34 over 34 is -1. And 19. 19, you notice as I work it out, I have to distribute the negative into the parentheses. So negative into 5n becomes -5n. A negative and a negative become a positive. Oh, I see that I did something wrong here. So let me rework this problem. That's just because I thought that I had 5 out here. That is wrong. So I'm going to have my... Do not pay attention to that. Okay. I'm going to have 5 minus 6n equals, I'm going to have a -5n plus 5, and I still have my minus n. Okay? There we go. Now I'm going to have this -5 and this -n I'm going to put together. Okay, so this all stays the same. So I'm going to have -6n, and I'm going to have +5. Notice it's the same on each side. So what I thought was a no solution because I did something wrong up here, because when you come down, and there might be some no solutions over here. So, if you come, there might be some no solutions over here. But when you come down and you have a number that says it equals a different number, that doesn't make sense. That's going to be your no solution. This, when you have it the same on both sides, like if I was to add 6n to get rid of it over here, well, I have to do it over here, and then I have 5 equals 5. Well, that's infinite solutions. When it's the same, infinite solutions. Any number you put in there, that will satisfy that problem. And then lastly, number 21, make sure I didn't do any problems or mistakes here. I have a negative goes into here, and then a negative times a positive 5n gives me a -5n, and I bring everything else down. A -4 times 5 is -20. A -4 times n is a -4n. I combine my like terms, I get -8. I bring down everything in -8n. I bring down this other -8. -20 minus 4, I leave the same. I think I did 2 things at once. What did I do? I added the 8n to get rid of it on this side, so I add 8n. That gave me 4n. Over on this side, I added 20, got rid of it over here on this side, and I added 20, and that 20 minus 8 or negative 8 plus 20, whichever way you want to look at it, gives you 12. And so I divide both sides by 4, and I get n by itself. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay, work on those even ones on your own, and get ready for this test.